So today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. He was born on January 15th, 1929. Obviously, he is the most well-known, in my opinion, the most well-known and effective civil rights leader in United States history. Now, we celebrate Dr. King's legacy for diversity and remember that the civil rights movement also helped to drive the historic opening of immigration laws, causing then President Lyndon B. Johnson to lift the bars of discrimination against immigrants and signing into the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Prior to 1965, the quotas were based on national origin. And it was based on national origin dating back to the census of the 1920s. So who was in the United States in the 1920s? It was mostly Europeans.
Okay.
So that's why it was all skewed to actually even Northern Europeans. So not even Southern Europeans. It was actually discriminatory against Italians and Portuguese and Greeks, but it was all to benefit Northern Europeans. Certainly they were discriminating against, minorities and everybody else, but they were even discriminating against other Europeans as well. But then in 1965, all of that came to an end when Lyndon B. Johnson lifted the bars to discrimination and signed into the law the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Now, a few years ago, Obery Hendricks for the Huffington Post wrote the following about Dr. King and immigration. He writes, "We cannot know for sure what specific policies Dr. King would propose or support. But first and foremost, we know that he would have had the same measure of concern for the welfare and security of undocumented immigrants that he held for all people of every rank, every religion, every race, and every nationality. That they and their children should have adequate food, shelter, clothing, health care, education, and suitable life chances."
Lovely.
Yeah. Now, Dr. King, he went to Morehouse College. He earned a BA in sociology. He then attended Crozer Theological Seminary, following in his father's and grandfather's footsteps, earning a Bachelor's of Divinity. He then, shortly after completing his PhD in theology at Boston University, a 42-year-old Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes.
The NAACP took this opportunity to bring their civil rights efforts to the forefront, and they chose Dr. King to lead the successful citywide boycott of the Montgomery transit system, and that is where he first became well known for his civil rights disobedience. Through the next 12 years, King would be influential in organizing marches, sit-ins, political rallies for civil rights. For example, during a 1963 march on Washington, D.C. for jobs and freedom, King spoke before more than 200,000 regarding the challenges African Americans face. That was his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. It has gone down in history books as one of the greatest speeches ever given.
Yes.
Let's watch.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
In early 1964, 1,500 men and women met a wall of state troopers during a march outside Selma, Alabama. There, King led the marches in prayer and avoided confrontation. He actually was following the civil disobedience of Gandhi from India. On July 2nd, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin. That same year, Dr. King became the youngest recipient at age 35 to ever win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Wow.
King died April 4th, 1968, when James Earl Ray assassinated him in Memphis, Tennessee. He arrived in Memphis with the Southern Christian Leadership Congress, and they were supporting a sanitation workers' strike. They stayed in the Lorraine Motel, and unfortunately, James Earl Ray's bullet struck King on the balcony while he was outside on the balcony. Riots, violence followed. President Johnson would call for peace, referring to Dr. King as the apostle of nonviolence. So, there's all different ways to celebrate his life. Could talk about his legacy, talk about what he did for the United States, what we can do to preserve what he did and improve what he did.
Yeah.
We could also learn. We can watch documentaries. There's a documentary, King. It's a filmed record from Montgomery to Memphis. There's the books. The autobiography of Martin Luther King Jr., edited by Claiborne Carson, Bearing the Cross, Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. The Smithsonian Institution in Washington and the Library of Congress in Washington are both looking for volunteers to digitally transcribe historical documents involving African Americans, the civil rights movement, and Dr. King specifically. AmeriCorps.gov has a searchable database of volunteer opportunities. You can also, the Equal Justice Initiative works to end mass incarceration, excessive punishment, and racial inequality, is looking for people for help as well. It works to educate the public about racial injustice in America. In 2018, EJI opened the National Museum for Peace and Justice and the Legacy Museum, all in Montgomery, Alabama. Or just do something nice. Do something good. It's really just a day to do something nice or good.
Yeah.
Anybody can do anything.
Anybody
right?
could do anything.
Just be nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he, went for.
Right.
There were certain black civil rights leaders that, wanted to proceed with violence,
Right.
like Malcolm X,
Of course.
Black Panthers. But he was very much so just like nonviolent, let's just all be together type of thing.
Right. And was successful being nonviolent.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, if there was a blueprint for change, we could all look to MLK for sure.
For sure.
He was successful. He did not cause riots. He did not cause violence. And he still was able to pursue change.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.